Hi guys, so in today's video I want to talk about floaty goldfish. Now with goldfish that are floating, there's usually three things that it could be. Number one, you want to look and see if it's floating upright. If you look at it and it's bloated quickly, you want to look at the scales, and if they've kind of opened so the fish looks like a pine cone, that's a sign of dropsy, which is in itself a symptom of something else. Usually it means that the kidneys have failed, and what fish's kidneys do is they osmoregulate the fish, so they help control how much water is coming in and out of the fish. When the kidneys are starting to fail, it stops doing this, which makes the fish end up looking like it's pine coning, like hence the term pine coning you hear and read online a lot of the time. Unfortunately, there isn't really much we can do once the fish has got to that position. Usually it's a sign of poor water, so keeping an eye on our water quality is important, and making sure we do regular water changes to keep on top of the quality of our water. And goldfish in particular produce a really high bioload, and they're really sensitive to ammonia. Now the second thing it could be the wen growth, which is the head growth. Sometimes the wen will outweigh what the swim bladder can cope with. Sometimes the fish will flip, and that can be rectified with surgery. And there's plenty of videos online. And the third thing it could be is it could be a swim bladder issue, and there's a lot of treatments out there and there's a lot of advice online. Treatments are like medication. People will say use salt baths. Now salt baths, if it's swim bladder, could temporarily alleviate the situation, because salt changes the specific gravity of the water, which makes it easier for the fish to float correctly. But unfortunately this is just temporary. Medications won't work. The reasons why medication won't work is swim bladder is a structural problem with, like, you get highly developed goldfish, like fancy goldfish, the swim bladder on them is compressed. The whole body's been rounded, compressed into a smaller area than it should be. It's a structural issue. There's no medication, or unless you're going to give the fish surgery, there's no way we're going to fix a structural issue with a medication. It's just not going to work. In the event of that, usually, now obviously I've got a fish that's got swim bladder and it's eating fine and it's living its life. Now and again I'll find it floating on the top of the pond. I've made a commitment to this goldfish. Unfortunately, the way that we're going to have to deal with swim bladder is if the fish can't eat, if it can't swim, it can't eat. If it can't eat, it's going to perish and it's going to starve to death. So a lot of people recommend the use of clove oil as a way to euthanize the fish, which is quite sad, really. So I'd always recommend, when we're buying our goldfish, to have a look in the tank first and have a look for ones that haven't got floating issues. I mean, in my personal opinion, these things should be culled by the breeders, but unfortunately they're not, or sometimes they can develop as the fish matures. But I always recommend to keep an eye on the fish floating in the tank for a few minutes before you pick which goldfish you're going to buy. But anyway, that's it for today, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the information I'm giving out on the channel, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel grow. It really, really does help the channel grow. So take care, guys, and hopefully you'll be back for my next video.